Okay, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Fight House, and we're here, and we got Trevin Giles as promised on the line. How you doing, Trevin? Welcome to the Fight House.
I'm very good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, man. Good. How's everything been, man? After you coming off a good win over Ryan Spann, how's everything been?
Everything's been pretty good. I've just been focused on the schoolwork I got going on right now, and getting ready to graduate soon in May 13th. So
Awesome.
yeah, everything's well.
Congratulations, man! And for all the people that don't know, let us know, man. What are you taking in university?
Right now, I'm majoring in administration of justice. I'm majoring there, and then trying to get into law enforcement.
And we're going to get into that even too in a minute. But first, you know what? Something just came about in the last segment. We were talking with Eric Anders. We had him on, and he caught me by surprise,
Okay.
man. He was saying that he's pretty much scheduled to.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear Jason.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. We were on the phone with Eric Anders, and he caught me by surprise, man. He said that he's got a fight. He's just waiting on the contract to fight Brendan Allen, and in all likelihood is going to be for the LFA middleweight title. And I, for one, and I think a lot of other people too, had you as in like a shoe-in to fight for that belt at 9-0, and you have a win over Brendan. Did they approach you with that, or what's going on there?
A lot of they've been kind of doing this. Well, Eric Anders really has been kind of initiating the conversation with that inside of Twitter and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I've actually had. I've actually been pretty busy, so yeah, he's actually talked to me about it and mentioned me on Twitter and everything. But right now, I'm focused on school and trying to get back into the group of things with training and everything. So I kind of put it off for that brief second. So right now, I mean, to me, I guess it makes sense that those guys are fighting right now. I mean, the world can't just wait for when I'm ready, So I think that's cool.
With all the work that you've put in, is that something you'll be coming back for? Is that when you look at those guys, do you think like that's where I should be? That's my spot. Like I earned that spot. Is that something you have on your to-do list?
Can you repeat that for me?
I said, is it something you have on your to-do list to get that title? Like, do you have a feeling of like, hey, like that's my spot. Like I earned that spot. I'm 9-0. I finished Brendan. Like I'm clearly at the top of the heap. Do you have that feeling?
Well, yeah, I do think right now I already I really feel like the champion already, to be honest. Again, I think I've beaten everybody I need to have beaten. I think even me and Ryan Spann, I think that would have been a title match if Ryan Spann hadn't lost the fight before me. And really at that point there was nobody else to fight other than Eric Anders, who was coming in, just freshly coming into, LFA. So, I don't necessarily feel like that. Not saying that I don't want the title shot, because I would love to fight for a title. Having a title is great. There's no negative side to having a title, so
Sure.
I'd really love that. But right now, to me, that I don't think the title makes me feel like more or less of a champion right now.
Well, what is it you're looking for? If not the title, like what does give you that feeling?
So right now, again, so my mind frame right now has just been, kind of taking everything a step at a time and, getting finished with school and everything. And, but really what I want to do is I just want to beat the top competition. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to say that I have beaten the best inside of, in whatever promotion I'm inside of. Again, that's not to say that I would not like a title shot or, the belt to actually show it, but that's all that is really to me. The belt is just a physical trophy that you can show saying, hey, this shows that I'm the best, so that's just what I think about it.
Something that sits on top of the mantle.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Now, you say you're graduating middle of May, so May 13th, I think you said?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I know that in May 23rd is the tough middleweight tryouts. 1 second, sorry. Sorry about that. Are you considering going out for the tough tryouts at the end of May?
I wouldn't say that just yet. I think I still need to kind of get in the groove of everything and get back into a steady training camp before I go and make any kind of big moves. I think the bad decision would be just trying to jump back into fighting right now, because I haven't been able to really get the training in like I'd like to, putting in the hours in with school and everything else. So yeah, I think I just want to make sure that I'm getting my training and everything right. I've got some big opportunities though. Right now I'm very excited. I'm getting ready on Monday, getting ready to travel out to AKA and get to train with meet Cormier and train with those guys, everybody there. So I think that'll put me in a good place too. Getting to know some of those guys.
What takes you out to AKA? Is that through an affiliation? Is that through like a UFC affiliation, or just somebody you happen to know at the gym itself?
Well, I actually think that my coach Eric, he was like real big into wrestling and everything. So he's in with the wrestling community and everything. So him and Cormier have actually met, and he's actually got his number. So we've been for some time now. We've been planning to go out there and train with him. We actually planned to do that 2 summers ago, but I ended up getting a little bit of an injury. So we're just finally making our way back around to it.
So I know the last time that we spoke anyway, you had said that like it had to happen soon, the call from the UFC, or like you weren't content to just stay with the smaller promotions and work your way up, or do any more than you've already done. You had done a lot. How are you feeling now towards it, or is that still how you feel, or have you kind of step back and said like, okay, like I'm willing to stick around a little bit longer and see where this goes?
I still feel the same. I'm not really thinking about trying to. I'm not really considering putting away fighting altogether. But I'm more at the stage I am in my life right now. I'm starting to get like a lot of opportunities. I will have a bunch of opportunities outside of fighting, especially when I graduate and everything. So I was just saying that my best chance of continuing my fighting career is basically to have a big opportunity presented in front of me. Mm-hmm. And that big opportunity does happen to be the UFC. Big opportunity is also being able to fight for a championship belt and everything. But I just want to be able to get the best opportunity that I have, whenever I graduate. So, I'd ideally like to have a fight soon after I graduate. That'd be ideal for me.
You're studying law enforcement now. Even a guy like Stipe Miocic, who's the heavyweight champion right now with the UFC, he's also a fireman outside of there. Is law enforcement something you will actively pursue regardless?
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen regardless. Even if I go to the UFC and I get I get a fight, in between training camps or in between fights and stuff like that, I'll still go to the police academy, and I'd still actively pursue that. I want to be in law enforcement regardless.
What is it about law enforcement? What drew you to that field of when you could do just about anything?
Well, I like to have a sense of purpose, and I like to help people out. I think a lot of people get taken advantage of. Every day. Even with this stuff that's going on, and I know you've seen the whole Facebook deal with this guy killing another guy on Facebook Live, just coming
crazy.
Up to him and shooting him. Yeah, a bunch of crazy stuff happens, and I think a lot of people kind of run away from that kind of thing. That's the reason why they don't want to be in law enforcement, because it's a lot of stuff that's it's dangerous, but somebody has to do it, and I feel like I have the capabilities of doing it, and I think that I could be a great contribution to the community.
That is great, man. That's a stand-up thing. Like you said, a lot of people right now, especially given the situation with the police in America and just the way they're being, the light that's being shone on them and the way some people are perceiving them, it's definitely a rough job to do. So that's a stand-up thing, man, that you're willing to go out there and put yourself out there like that.
Yeah, man. I think that I think that's more of a reason for me to go. A lot of people don't see the police in the best light right now. because of some of the things that have happened recently.
Sure.
But I think that has to change. Somebody has to step forward and put their best foot forward and try to make a change and get back a positive relationship between, the people and police.
It's true. It's very true. Are you going to be able to keep up the same training habits? Will you be able to stay as dedicated to MMA once you decide to fully step into the law enforcement field? Is that something that you'll be able to donate the same amount of time to?
I don't see my dedication disappearing. I wouldn't say that. Now, if you're talking about, as far as, time constraints and everything that comes with law enforcement, I can't really determine that right now.
Sure.
I haven't seen the hours or, I'm sure there are going to be certain things that will try to get in my way, but it'll all be about my management, right? So I would just have to decide what's more important at that point, getting in the way.
Well, I'm sure you've pretty much mastered the time management skills because you're going to university and fighting professionally. I'm sure isn't exactly an easy task.
Yeah. So that's something I've been juggling around. So I'd like to think I have a little bit of practice with being able to prioritize and still be fighting.
And just sliding back to the fighting, you've been on the radar for both Brendan Allen and Eric Anders. Brendan Allen is not shy about the fact that he absolutely 100% wants that rematch with you after the loss. He's every time I talk to him, that's what he's looking for. Pretty well every time. Yeah. Eric Anders is kind of the newcomer on the scene. He's a guy. He comes with a bit of hype because of his football history, his experience with football. Which guy would you prefer to face? Would you rather the rematch or the fresh face? What would be your preference?
You know what? It's kind of hard to say. I got to see both of their point of views over Twitter. They were kind of going back and forth with each other, and they both made some valid points. It's hard to say. I know Brendan Allen. He's a guy's a competitor.
Sure.
I like the way he fights. Even I watch his fights myself, and anytime I see he has a fight coming up, I'm excited to see that. And then I like the guy. And I know Eric Anders. He's coming in. He's trying to make noise. He's trying to do what he can do to get the big fights. And he is undefeated. But there's a case for either or. I guess it's just hard to say. I would have to. I don't think I can answer that. I don't know.
Let me ask you this one, man. Who do you think wins that fight? You had a chance to see Eric Anders. You've been in the cage with Brendan Allen. Who do you think wins that fight when they walk out? Because they're both fairly confident that they're both leaving with a W, which I guess they should be.
Yeah, I would say I'd say Brendan Allen hands down.
Hands down. You think it'll be an easy night of work for him?
Yeah, I don't think that it's not that Eric Anders doesn't have talent. He's an athlete. A guy came from football. He's got some explosiveness. He's going to be tough. I'm sure he has some mental toughness too. But I don't think that his rhythm and he just doesn't have the experience to pull off this fight. And then, again, it's going to depend on a bunch of other things, how their training camp goes and everything.
Sure.
But as far as what I've seen on Eric Anders' film and as far as what I've experienced with Brendan, I'd have to give that to Brendan for sure. I'd go with Brendan for sure.
The one thing about Anders though that slips, and I kind of felt the same way about you, the way you feel about the breakdown, just the skill level of Brendan Allen, the technique from a technique point of view. But I didn't know. Did you know that Eric Anders had 23 amateur fights?
I did not know that. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. I had no idea that he had that much experience. He hasn't been in the sport long, but he's been extremely active. And it kind of blew my mind because I thought Brendan Allen, hands down, had 13 amateur fights plus his 8 professional fights, had a lot more experience, but it's not the case, apparently.
That's I had no idea he had that much experience. And usually I feel like I'm pretty good with I'd have to imagine he kind of took those fights back to back, but I'm not sure how much he's really learning from it though, as far as what I'm watching on, film and stuff like that. Right. He looked powerful. He dropped a couple of people with his, I think it's a left cross that he throws. So the guy hits hard. He has capability, you know, but I don't think that his experience shows while he's fighting, though. I didn't know he had 23 amateur fights, and I would never guess that.
No, me
Not
either.
to, you know, talk bad on him or anything, but, you know, just my honest opinion.
Yeah, no, I you know what? It caught me by surprise too, man. Absolutely, because I thought he was just coming in with like raw athletic ability and kind of like pushing his way through the field based on that. So it kind of caught me by surprise as well. Is it something that you're going to shoot for? Like you said, you want to fight pretty soon after after your graduation. With those two, if those two end up fighting in June, because that's what Anders was saying, he said it's probably going to be scheduled for June. Will you take another fight? Is there another fight that even makes sense for you, really? From an LFA
Another
perspective?
fight other than those two guys? I guess we'll see whatever presents itself, you know. Again, I'd like to, you know, get back into it and everything. Again, I'm getting ready to go and train with you know, some of the top guys in the UFC right
Absolutely.
now. So hopefully I can get a good UFC shot, you know, getting my foot in the door with those guys. So either the UFC, I do see myself going to the UFC and having a fight before the summer ends.
Do you feel like you'll be ready? Like, because you said like you're training at everything, you want to get back into the rhythm. So you obviously haven't been like training as you normally would with school and everything winding down. Will you be prepared for a last minute fight if one should pose itself? Will you be in a good place to take that fight?
A last minute for
the UFC.
UFC?
Yeah, like saying that you're in school, you're graduating, and you're looking to get back in the rhythm of training and stuff. I was saying like, do you feel like right now you're in a good place to take a last minute fight if one should present itself like shortly after the graduation, or will you want to get more training in?
You know what? I always feel like it kind of depends. I've actually had right after Ryan Spann, I fought Ryan Spann, and I think I had Bellator call me and ask me to do a last minute fight with Lovato.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I'm talking 3 days notice, right? So I guess 2 days to
get there. Yeah.
Well, 4 days notice, 2 days to cut weight, and then a day of weigh-ins, and then the fight. All right, so I think that kind of thing depends, right? And had it been somebody else, maybe I might have went ahead and did it. But, you know, I feel like you have to be smart with those decisions. Like, you have to be realistic, you know. So
that's a big mountain to climb. Depends. That's a big mountain to climb on 4 days' notice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a talented ground artist, that's for sure. You know, speaking of that, would Bellator would that be an option for you, or are you kind of hard
right
set
now,
on the UFC?
Yeah, I think Bellator is a great promotion. Everything. I really like all these promotions. I like LFA. I like Bellator. All the stuff. Obviously, you know, as fighters, we want to get more exposure. Obviously, we all want to get more money and the top fights and stuff like that. So if I had to base it off of that, obviously I'd want the UFC. You know, and really my sights are set on the UFC. It's been that way for a couple of fights now. You know, you'll see me mention after like the past 3 fights, you know, that I'm trying to go to the UFC. You know, and I always mention the UFC. So that's my big goal right now, and I feel like it's really right now. It's feeling like it's in the near future.
It seems like you're on the horizon heading to AK. You're definitely headed in the right direction. So it seems like that's right on the horizon for you. And congratulations for that, man. It's a good to see you get that, because I know it was frustrating for you near the end there. I know we had spoke a couple times just about, you know, how much you had done. Like you had finished every opponent before Ryan Spann, and still like you hadn't got that call. So it's good to see that that's finally starting to break for you. You know, quickly before we close out here. Speaking of Ryan Spann, I don't know if you've heard, but like he is adamant that he won that fight, and he believes that the judging was wrong. Like, how did you feel about that fight?
I don't. You know what? When I look at that fight, I'll be honest and say I can see how he would have the feeling that he won.
Right.
But you know, immediately after the fight. But if you look back at the tape and if you think about the fight over, and you see what was going on and who was being effective and everything, I think, to me, I mean, I think for sure it's a split decision. I think the judges made the right decision. I damaged him. I was putting hands on the guy, right? And then he didn't have much success standing up or anything. And then he got to the point where he was just shooting for takedown. And then I think he was successful on the hip toss, and then he got close with a choke.
How close was he with that?
And what's that?
How close was he with that? With the choke?
Oh, it was a very tight choke. For a second, I didn't know if I'd be able to get out of it. So I was in a really tough situation right there. Thank God I was able to use my sensitivity to find the opening on that, because I mean he had everything where he needed. I think if it had his ankles locked under my hips or something, that'd have been really bad for me. That'd have been tough to get out of.
You know, man, I will say this. For all your skills that you have, and you have a ton of skill, the one that's leaped out to me when I watched all your fights was your ability to persevere. You've been in trouble in numerous fights. Like, that's not the first time that you've ended up in trouble early and come back to win a fight. Do you feel like that's one of your qualities that kind of separates you from everybody else? Is just your ability to persevere through those situations?
Yeah, for sure. I think I come with a certain attitude. I know when I come into a fight, you have to finish me. You have to, and you can't get close. And then, I think a lot of these guys when they get behind me for a choke, or they drop me or something like that, I feel like they think at that point they feel like the fight's getting ready to be over. It's getting ready to be over, right? Like they can see the win coming, and then I get back up, or I keep moving, or I keep fighting, and then after that, I think that kind of breaks them. I think after that point, I don't think they believe they can win anymore, because they've done what they could.
And kind of like steal their heart, kind of.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that plays a role in it. My perseverance, because you have to put me away. I have to not be able to move, and you have to put me to sleep to beat me like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're super composed. I'll give you that. That's like the one thing that just leaped right out at me when I was watching them, was just how composed you are in those situations. One last thing about the Spann thing though, in round one, do you feel like when he had your back I think for like 3 minutes or something, maybe a little bit more the first round, do you think it was kind of like his lack of activity that allowed you to steal the round? Because I rewatched the fight after I spoke to him, and he was like, no, like, I won that fight. I rewatched the fight, and I was like, because I had given it to you too, and I had said to him, like, I'm not 100% sure, like, I'd have to go back and watch it, because I kind of watched it as a fan. I didn't really watch it analytically to like break it down or anything like that. But I think the difference was that he just wasn't active. Like, he was just looking for his choke, but he didn't really do anything from the back besides like hold the position. And you flurried for like the last minute and 10, I think it was, something like that. You had like landed some nice ground and pound, like you were kind of all over him. Do you feel like it was his lack of activity that allowed you to like steal that?
Yeah, no, for sure. More than anything, it was. So how I saw the fight was, again, and I said the same thing after the fight on the post-fight interview, is that I think I was just more active. He was in there trying to control positions, and I think that he was really worried. I honestly feel like he was worried about being finished. He was worried about me landing a big punch on him. I'm sure he's seen my film and stuff, and I end up dropping guys with an uppercut or whatever, right? And I end up getting the upper hand there. And I think that he was being very careful and trying to stay on the outside, or he was trying to be all the way in. But either way, all he was doing was either he was leaning on me for a takedown, or even if it was on my back, he was just holding the position, and he couldn't do anything. He didn't damage me. He didn't get close to anything else. It's like he didn't really have the answer. Even when he was in on takedown, he had no answer. He had nothing. He didn't know what to do.
True.
So he was just sitting there. Even when he had me against the cage, he'd be pushing me against the cage, and then he's kind of just sitting there hoping to get a takedown. And I'm throwing these little shots, and I'm still being active on the inside, right, while he's kind of just winning. So it's a fight at the end of the day. It's not wrestling. It's not anything else. It's about who's being more effective. So if you're not being more effective, you're probably going to lose.
True. Well, listen, man, I really want to thank you for taking some time to talk with us, man. I always enjoy the conversation with you, and I wish you good luck. I hope we get to see you, man. I hope you get your UFC shot. I hope we get to see you in the octagon. And, yeah, man, thanks again for giving us some of your time.
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Talk to you later on. Have a good night.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Good night.